How you like that? 3 canes of raspberries. Be right back after the break. We're going to talk about planting our raspberries today. See you in a minute.
How to grow raspberries. This is an advanced, complete growing guide, part 1 of 2.
Well, welcome back, friends. Today's video is going to be, to my best ability, a complete growing guide on how to grow raspberries organically at your own home. I'm going to be putting these in my permaculture area, but if you don't have a permaculture area, you can put them in your own backyard. Anyone can do this. There's really not too much to it. I ordered these online and I got them in, and they're, they're canes. So we'll be putting these in out there, and I'm gonna show you a diagram here of how I plan to do that. These are what you call bare root. See, it's just the cane with the roots on there. Okay, let me show you an up close look at that, and then we'll get right to work on the diagram, and then we'll head right on over there to the permaculture area and get these little boys in the ground. Okay, here's the little diagram I wanted to show you. I wanted to point out that the way I plant my raspberries and my blackberries are exactly the same procedure. There's really no difference. I have this little diagram I wanted to share with you, just to show you how I do it, so that it maybe make it easier for you when you get ready to plant yours. So whenever you get ready to plant your raspberries or your blackberries, what you want to do is you want to look for an area in your yard that has at least 6 hours of full sun with a couple of 2 or 3 hours of partial shade. That's just about right for these guys. And you don't want to plant it in soil that's been used to grow eggplants, potatoes, or tomatoes because of the wilt and fungal disease that's in the soil, and that makes a pathogen of that disease right into your new plants. So don't plant behind these types of plants or you're highly susceptible to getting that disease in your new plants. Now, when I put these in, I'm going to space them out 5 feet apart because, they're going to cascade out and they're going to make a pretty good sized bush, and it's, brambles. So you want to give it plenty of room to give them 5 feet apart. That way the plant's got room to cascade out and mature into full growth, and you also have room to maneuver around the plant when you want to harvest it. One thing else you want to remember is that these berries are going to require frequent watering. So what I'm going to do is I use a little bit of peat in my hole to retain the moisture. So peat is a good thing when you're trying to keep your plants moist, because if not, it's going to tend to dry out, and if they dry out, then you're going to just lose your plant. Now, this soil that you're going to be using for these berries, it needs to be slightly acidic, a 4.0 to 5.5 on a pH scale. So you may want to do a pH test on your soil if you're not sure. And you can get one of those pH kits, test kits at anywhere like Lowe's or a local nursery. They're only about $10, and it's just a little test tube that comes with, you put the chemical in and you put a little bit of a soil sample in there, and it changes colors, and you compare that color of that fluid to a color chart that it gives you, and you can tell what that pH is in your soil. It's not a real highly scientific or high-tech procedure, but it gets you pretty close, right into the ballpark, so you can tell if you need to amend the soil in any way. Now, if your soil's kind of sweet, like a 6.0 or 6.5, you're going to probably need to add a little bit of sulfur to lower that pH down, to get it down. And that's an organic amendment. So go ahead with your sulfur to get your pH down to the acidic level that you're looking for, 4.0 to 5.5 on the pH. where I'm going to be putting mine, I had just tons of pine trees out there and a lot of pine straw on the ground for many years, and I cleared out that area, so that soil is already pretty low. I think it's about a 5 now, but I'm going to give it just a little bit more of this sulfur just to show you how I do it. That way I can pull that pH down just a little bit more, just to be sure that I have it where I want it. So I'm going to add a little bit of sulfur into my soil out here when I plant this. And I'm going to also use the bone meal to promote the root growth, to give me that phosphorus that I'm looking for. And I'm going to add in some blood meal to promote the foliage growth. Both of these are organic as well. So let's take a look at the diagram here, and let me explain to you what we're going to do here. Let me see if I can get a little bit better close-up view of it for you. Okay, I hope this is a little bit better and easier to see for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dig me a hole that's 24 inches wide and 9 inches deep. The reason I do that is, the root system on most of your vegetables and plants that we use in our garden are usually only about 9 inches deep anyway. So, the plant that, the root ball that came on this one, that distance right there is only about 3 inches. So that plant has plenty of room to grow. When I first plant it, it'll, or even if it's in a pot, a container, a little 4-inch container, it would only be about that big, right? So just think of it this way: you're putting in that thing, that plant, and the root ball, or the container grown plant, whatever you end up getting, it goes into the ground, and it has plenty of room to root out into a hole this size. That's why I make it 9 inches deep. Now, when I plant my berries, first thing I'm going to do is put some fish in the bottom of the hole. And if you don't have fish, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You don't have to have it. But if you do have some, it's really an excellent organic fertilizer to use, and I always try to use it every chance I get. And you can go to a local bait store or one of those fresh fish markets, and you can get frozen bait fish really cheap, and use that. Or you can go to a fresh fish market and ask them if you can have their heads and guts, and they'll give it to you for free. So that works really terrific. So what I do is I put that fish in the hole and I cover that fish with lime, pulverized dolomitic limestone. I cover it very good with the lime, because I don't want that odor to work its way up through that soil, and the critters get to smelling it and they come over here and they dig up your plant trying to get down there to it. But if you lime it, it's going to keep that smell from getting up through the ground and something destroying your plant. And don't worry about the pH going back up, because remember, I added a little bit of sulfur in here to keep that acidic level where I need it. So that's not going to be enough to really impact it. So don't worry about that part. So I'm going to put in the fish at the bottom of the hole. That'll be down at 9 inches deep. And then when I plant the plant, those roots will finally root down, and they'll find their way down, and they'll get into that decomposing fish one of these days. Just about the time that's good and decomposed, that's about the time the roots get there, and the plant's really needing that burst of energy. So that fish is, like for later. You put it in and let it decompose while the plant's maturing. When that root gets down there, it's supper time. So that's the way I'm going to do that. Now let's go back to talking about how to put this thing in physically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dig the hole. It's 24 inches, 9 inches deep. I'm going to mix in together 3 equal parts of peat, black cow, and topsoil. I mix those parts together and I dig out my hole, and I backfill the hole with these 3 equal parts of these elements here. So I take the soil that came out of the hole and I create a berm out here that goes all the way around the plant, which creates a basin. So whenever it's raining or you're watering your plants, it captures that rainwater or that water that you're using from the irrigation. It captures that and kind of makes a little basin here to get that water to work its way right on down into that root system just right. Now, remember, they like frequent watering, so that's another good reason to put that berm on there, because it helps you to retain your water. so it just don't run off. So that's a good thing you want to do, and I always recommend doing that. So put a 3-inch berm with the dirt that came out of the hole, and I backfill the hole with 3 equal parts of peat, black cow, and topsoil. Now after I get that all in there, I'm going to add in my blood meal and my bone meal. I'll mix it in here about a half a cup, and I'll mix it all together in here real good. Then I'll dig back a hole and I'll insert my plant, pack it in, cover it up, and then I'll water it very well. I'll deep water it. By what I mean by that is I will actually fill this basin up where it's standing in water so it can soak down real slow, real good. And you want to do that several times over the first 2 or 3 weeks especially. Get it good and saturated so that it gets down into that bottom and that root ball and everything, especially if you're using bare root. Keep it good and wet. So deep water it until it gets going after about 2 or 3 weeks, and then you can go back to about a half an inch of water a week would probably be plenty for them. Half an inch to an inch of water a week, you know. So in other words, maybe every 3 days, make sure you water the plant. So this is basically the procedure we're going to go through today. We'll stick this little diagram on our Facebook page, so if you want to go take a look at this for yourself, you can. So let's head on over to the permaculture area and let's get these little rascals in the ground and get them growing. See you over there. Well, we're over here at our permaculture area, and this is the little area that I picked out for these raspberries, and I think it's just a perfect little spot. It gets plenty of sun during the day and some shade too, so it gets a little bit of both, and that's what it needed. So I've got my 3 holes already prepared, dug out, ready to go. I've got all the ingredients that I need to put in the hole with it. I've got my some fish, and I got my garden lime to cover over the fish with it, and then I've got my peat, and also my topsoil, and my black cow manure. Those are the 3 that I'm going to mix together to backfill the hole with. I've also got my bone meal for my phosphorus, and I've got my blood meal for my nitrogen, and I've also got me some sulfur that I'm going to add about a tablespoon or so of that sulfur in there to get that pH just right. So I got all my ingredients. What I need to do now is get this thing in the ground, because from what I understand, they don't plant themselves. So let's get this show on the road. Well, I hope you had fun hanging out with me today while we planted our Caroline raspberries. I'm looking forward to getting these things in the future. So we're going to wrap up part 1 of this video today. This was just to demonstrate how to get them put into the ground, and I think we've done that pretty good. And in the days ahead, we'll do a progression video on how these things grow and mature until one day we finally get to harvest them. So keep your eyes peeled for part 2 of this video. Right, Bing Bing? So, if you like our videos, please subscribe. Be a part of our Homestead family here with me and Nancy and Bing Bing. So until we see you next time, always remember, by His hands we are fed. Give us, Lord, our daily bread. Amen.
Have a blessed day. Thank you for watching our videos. We love making them. If you like our videos, we ask you to partner with us in our mission by sharing our videos from YouTube and post from Facebook to all social medias. It really inspires and encourages us. Some great places to share is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please like if you like this video, subscribe, click the notification button so you never miss another video. Click below for products we used in the videos, and you could also partner with us without spending a penny. We welcome your encouraging comments, prayers, and questions. And thank you for watching and sharing our videos and posts. Have a blessed day.